Danielle DeBellino. I'm the deputy assessor for the town of Newington. I have with me our interim assessor, Larry LaBarbera, and a representative from Equality Valuation Services who is very familiar with the town of Newington, Steve Kosofsky. So I have a presentation. I figure we can hold questions till the end, till I get through the presentation, if you're still awake. It is encouraging. I'll be far more entertaining than you think I will. Or not. Just bring my own computer over because. So some of the things we're going to go over tonight is just a little quick overview of revaluation, the purpose of a revaluation, its phases and timelines, and what to expect. So what is a revaluation? It's a reassessment of all real property, which is real estate in the town of Newington. It's a process of conducting data collection and market analysis necessary to equalize the values of all properties within a municipality. And it returns all property values to reflect the 2025 market. So a nice little quote, an equalization of the values of all properties within the municipality for the purpose of a fair distribution of the tax burden. And I'll talk a little bit later about what the tax burden really means. So why do we need a revaluation? It's required by law. State statute requires we do a revaluation of real estate every 5 years. And it's been 5 years since our last revaluation. Our last townwide revaluation was for the October 1, 2020 grand list. Changing market levels. So in the 5 years in between revaluations, there's a development of inequities due to the changing market conditions. And so what revaluation will do is bring the market back to equal with our values. So the purpose of a revaluation is to promote equity, accuracy, and fairness. I introduced Steve Kosofsky before. We have contracted with Equality Valuation Services to assist in completing the 2025 revaluation. So what is an assessment and how is it calculated? An assessment is 70% of the fair market value for a property. So what is fair market value? It's the most probable price in terms of money which a property would sell for in a competitive and open market under all conditions requisite to a fair sale. Those conditions are a willing buyer and seller, no undue influence, the buyer and seller have knowledge of what they're doing, and an exchange of funds. So how do we calculate an assessment? We take the market value, multiply it by 70%, and that gives us the assessment. So how do we calculate a tax bill? We take the assessment times the mill rate, and that equals your tax bill. So I'm going to go over some of the there's steps to revaluation. So I want to make sure everyone has an understanding of what those steps are and what the timeline is going to look like as we go through this process. So phase one kind of already happened. It was back in December in the fall. We had Equality take new pictures of all the properties within our town. It's important to note yes, they took all new pictures. If you look up your property right now for the picture that's on your property record, it might not be the new one. By the time we are completely done with revaluation, your picture will be up there and it will be a recent picture. So the data collection phase is March 2025 through June of 2025. And the data collection phase kind of has two pieces to it. The first one is the data mailers, which are sent to all residential property owners, which allow us to verify the accuracy of the assessor's office records. So when you get your data mailer, it's going to have the information for your property on it, and it gives you an opportunity to make sure that our records are correct. So this is what a data mailer looks like. The hot pink envelope, which I'll talk about. I promise, if I can get my, there we go. So that was the front page, had a little letter from Larry, the interim assessor, on there. And then this was the, if it'll come up, there it goes. This was the main page of it where you can kind of go through. It shows what we have on your property in our records and allows you to cross things off, circle other things, leave us some notes. So the important thing is to note any discrepancies you see. Even if you see something on, like, don't see something on there that you think is important, feel free to leave us a comment. If there are no changes, check the no changes box on the front page and return. And then there is a note on there, return it within 10 days of receipt. It's okay if you're a little bit over the 10 days. I think equality will forgive you. Oh, the pink envelope. So returning your data mailer. So you have a couple options to return your data mailer. You can return it to the assessor's office. You can file online. It allows you to file online. Or you could put it in the pink envelope and return it. Now I know the address on the pink envelope says Waterbury. That's because equality is located in Waterbury. So when you put it in the pink envelope, send it back, it's going to equality and will eventually make its way to your assessor's office. The second piece of the data collection phase is property inspections. These are going to be conducted by members of both the assessor's office and equality valuation services. This is a secondary means of verifying the accuracy of your property data. And it's really, really important to me to make sure every resident in town knows that your safety is our highest priority. All data collectors will have a photo ID. The data collector's car, model, registration, etc., will be registered with both the police department and in the assessor's office. And if you see a car you don't recognize and you think it might be a data collector, please feel free, call us. I will absolutely let you know. If I know that they're out doing inspections, I'll know what kind of car they have. Please just call me if anybody ever isn't sure. Data collectors are instructed not to enter any house unless an adult is present and has given permission to do an interior inspection. It is the prerogative of the taxpayer to allow a data collector to inspect the interior of their property. So if somebody comes and knocks, you don't have to let them in. If you're comfortable with it, you can have them do the inspection, of course, but it is your prerogative. No one's going to pressure you to do an inspection. If you would feel more comfortable with a person from the assessor's office, then let us know. Absolutely, I will come out and do your inspection. Phase 3 is data analysis. So this kind of happens at the same time as the data collection phase. It's a study of property sales over a 24-month period, and that helps to determine increases and decreases in value. There we go. So they're going to be in the market analysis, the market sales analysis, they're going to be looking at both vacant and improved properties, which allow for the establishment of parameters that they're going to apply to all the properties. And it's also important to know that there is a state requirement to test those parameters. So there's a lot that goes into this, and the state really takes a close look. So the valuation, properties are analyzed using sales data and information collected during the data collection phase. They'll use one or both recognized methods, the replacement cost or sales comparison. So how do they value residential real estate during a revaluation? The first piece is sale properties are evaluated and individual characteristics are analyzed using information from the data collection phase. Then each property is compared to other properties with similar characteristics. The estimated value of improvements is added to the land value that was previously determined. And finally, the outcome is the final estimate for each parcel, both the building and the land. So phase 4 is going to happen November of 2025. That's the notification phase. So we'll be sending out assessment notices to all property owners. Once the data collection and analysis phases are complete, a notice with the new assessed value will be sent to all property owners. I cannot stress enough that this notice is not a bill, a tax bill, or indication of a possible tax bill amount. Don't use the current mill rate to estimate your tax bill. And I'll show you why in a little while. And it's going to be really hard to resist doing that. I totally understand. This is what that notice is going to look like for the most part. It'll show you what your assessment was prior and what your assessment is for the October 1, 2025 grant list. Once those go out, phase 5 will start, which is the informal hearing phase in December of 2025. Informal hearings are a forum to ask questions about the new property valuation. Instructions on setting up an informal hearing will be included with the assessment notice. This is a great way for the property owner to present concerns and specifics about their individual properties. It also allows for the possible correction of errors or miscalculations. Each property with an informal hearing will be reviewed on an individual basis to determine if a change is warranted. Decision letters are sent out January of 2025. January of 2026. Sorry about that. Wow, I went back a year, didn't I? So, speaking of January 2026, phase 6 is when we finalize our grand list, which includes the motor vehicles, business, personal property. Once that's complete, phase 7 is our formal appeal in March of 2026. So that's when the Board of Assessment Appeals will meet. So if after an informal hearing, a property owner still disagrees with their assessment, they can appeal to the Board of Assessment Appeals. The Board of Assessment Appeals is a board designed to serve as an appeal body for taxpayers who believe that the assessor erred in the valuation of their property. Those appeal forms must be submitted by February 20th of 2026. Once the assessor's office receives your appeal, we'll send notice of the date, time, and location of your hearing. Property owners will want to make sure that they prepare any evidence or justification for a change in assessment to provide that to the board. The notices of BAA decisions will be sent within 1 week of your hearing. If, after you receive your notice of decision from the BAA hearing, you still would like to appeal, you have the right to appeal to the Superior Court within 2 months of that BAA decision. Then, phase 8 is town budget and tax bills, which is April is the town budget, and July 2026 is when the tax bills for this revaluation, this grand list will be sent. And then revaluation's complete, and then I get to start it all over again to get ready for 2030. So I just want to talk a little bit about residential market trends and kind of what to expect. I mean, we've all seen the news articles. We've heard everyone talking about market trends in the Connecticut housing market. So let's talk a little bit about what changes there have been in the market since 2020. The COVID effect. More people started working remotely, which shifted a need for more rural housing. Low inventory and high demand caused a spike in the housing market. Oh, sorry about that. Cash offers over asking price continues to drive the market up. It is. It did. Those cash offers definitely drive the market up. Yep. So I did a little trend, look at the trends, and we looked at 213 sales in Newington since and looked at the median market values in 2020 versus the median price it sold for recently. As you can see, the median market value in 2020 was $218,000. The median sale price 2025 is $352,000, which is a 62% increase in the market. Condominiums. No, PUDs are in there, not condos. I didn't show condos in there. So that leads me to 4 questions to help you decide if your assessment is correct. And I sell my property for that amount. Are the property characteristics accurate? How much are similar properties in my neighborhood selling for? And how much have similar properties in my neighborhood been assessed for? So these are questions to ask yourself when you get your assessment notice. So I also want to talk a little bit about a revaluation myth. Revaluation will cause my property taxes to increase. So remember I said earlier, I used the word tax burden. This leads me into the tax burden. Revaluation is a redistribution of the tax burden, and it does not necessarily mean an increase in taxes. The tax burden is the amount that a municipality must raise to operate the local government and support services. Assessments are only the base that is used to determine the tax burden. So what is a mill rate? It's an expression of taxes per every $1,000 of assessment. So the current mill rate is 39.98. That means it's $39.98 in taxes for every $1,000 in assessment. So how do we calculate the mill rate? We take the revenue needed to cover the town's budget, which is the tax burden. We divide that by the grand list, which are the assessments and other miscellaneous income. And we get the mill rate. So if the town's budget remains the same year to year, increased assessments equal a lower mill rate. So that's if everything remains exactly the same. If the assessments go up, the mill rate comes down. So where can you find sales data and information when you're asking yourself those 4 questions? We have an online mapping system. It's called the GIS. It's at newington.mapexpress.net. And on that website, there's interactive mapping that will show you sales 2020 through 2024 right on the map. So each year represents as a color, and it'll come up right on the website. You can take a look at any street and see the sales on that street right on the map. It gives you the sale amount. It's a very, very handy tool to kind of take a look basically at the entire town. You can also just visit the assessor's office and ask for the sales binders, which we have updated sales information right in our office. Or you can visit us online, newingtonct.gov, and just head right over to the assessor's page, the assessor's office page, and we'll have sales data right there online for you as well. We also have a revaluation information website right on the assessor's website, where I'll constantly be updating and putting as much information as I can to answer any questions there might be on revaluation. In addition, this is the assessor's office contact information. We can be reached by phone at 860-665-8530 or by email. And this is a generic email. Everyone in the assessor's office gets this email. It's assessor@newingtonct.gov.